Happy Saturday. How are you doing this weekend, dear?
Oh, hi, dear. Doing great. Um, Nothing exciting happening on this end of the world. Looks nice outside. How about you? How are you doing?
Everything's pretty good this weekend, dear.
I'm, I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, this weekend things are good. We have nice weather, but we're back to do the highlights of last week's accountability call, which was January 28th. Thanks for doing this with me again. I think we had another really good meeting. We had some new people join us. There was one person from Rochester, New York, who shared a lot of his journey. He's been doing it since 2019. He started investing in 2019.
Where
He's
does
got
he invest?
he's in Rochester in his local market,
Got it.
and he had some small multifamily units. He's up to 36 units, he said, but he
Wow.
offered yeah, one of the special things about that and a lot of other meetings was that in school we have another investor who's in his same market and has a different I believe she has one unit there, and he they connected with each other in school, or he offered to chat with her and talk more about the way he does things to see if it might help her. And they're both going to be in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. So
That's excellent.
yeah, we always enjoy when people can connect like that, and it's happened several times over the last few years. But it sounds like his wife is helping out, taking on some of the management role. And he mentioned that he has a W-2, so she's also taken on some of the responsibilities of meeting with contractors and scheduling that kind of stuff. I think he and his son also do some of the work whenever he can outside of his regular job, but sounds like he's off to a good start.
Excellent.
Yeah. And other than that, a lot of people had questions for him that evening. So that was mostly what happened on that call. And then we were we went around the room just to check in with a bunch of people. There was another young man who came back, and he hasn't been with us for a while, but Stephen was talking about getting sidetracked. I think he went he went on vacation, and I think real estate kind of fell to the wayside for him for a minute. Um, and he was back with us. It was great to see him. He's trying to get, I guess, re-energized to pick up his
Is
first property. He's in the Pittsburgh market, and or he wants to invest in the Pittsburgh market.
so he
So
doesn't have any properties yet?
no, he was really going for it, and then he went, like he said, he went on vacation, and he's 24. So we were talking about, well, for me, that's kind of exciting, right? To see someone that young starting to get into this real estate investing game
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much time for them to let time do its thing, I guess is the best way to put it.
And
So,
the other thing too, if you remember when we first started, it's like your whole life is real estate, or your whole life was real estate. Our whole life was real estate. And it's okay. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter where you are in the stage of your journey. It's good sometimes to just unplug and take a break because you become so not just overwhelmed, but so much going into your head that you don't have the time to filter it all. Your brain doesn't have the time to, I mean, physically it does, but your brain doesn't have the time to really process all that information you're getting and how you can use it. And there's so much information out there. And if you're doing nothing but real estate, it's to me, that's not anything you do where that's your sole focus 24/7. That is not healthy. So it's good to take those breaks and find out what else is going on out in the world because you tend to lose sight of what's going on in the world and with others who aren't in your real estate, you know, circle. And it doesn't mean that you won't come back to it because if it's really something that you're passionate about, something you want to do, something that you know is going to work for you in the future, then you're going to come back. It's just when you come back, you'll be refreshed, you'll be able to see things in a different light. I think that's it's healthy. And I'm glad he took that break because especially in the beginning when there's so much and so many people giving you information and advice, it gets to be overwhelming.
Yeah, it can. But I think before you have a property, it's probably easier to get sidetracked. I know, well, I feel like once you do get your first one, then a lot of people go crazy and just try to buy. And I think, for our random thoughts section of today's show, that was one of the things I was thinking about because that's one of the things that, well, not just us, but a lot of other people in the group try to caution everybody, when they just get started and they finally realize that they can do it. And then they don't want to stop because I don't know, that they think, all the deals will be gone um, or
Well, I
what might happen.
think back to when we first started, you're the one that had the bug to get started. So um for you, that was the thing, you didn't want it's like I want to say it's like a drug. You had to keep checking the MLS and anyone else, whatever agent you were signed up or whatever. It's like you had to do that because you were afraid that you were going to miss out on something, plus the time element, all those things were crowding in on you. And sometimes I think when that happens with people, and that doesn't matter what age they are or how far they are on their junior journey, when they start doing that, that's when mistakes happen. That's when we stop looking at the numbers and we start, I mean, I don't know how many times I heard people from the group making the numbers work, not working the numbers. So if you have to make it work so that you could buy something, that should be a big red flag for you. But you get almost like on one of those little hamster wheels, you keep going and you can't see past that two steps in front of you if that far. And that's where the mistakes happen.
Yeah, we went through that too. Some of the thoughts surrounding that go back to a lot of the things that we didn't realize when we were just getting started. And I had posted something in school about, what changed after you got your first deal and things like that. But some of the replies that we got were, one person mentioned they didn't realize how quickly the lender or the bank that they started with sold their loan. And that was something, I never thought about really, but it's part of the financial literacy that we've gained all these years. And it's no big deal, right? Because your terms of your loan don't change. It's just they trade it like any other commodity. So
Right.
um, that was one thing that
And
someone,
when they buy a loan, can they call that loan in? They have that option. They don't.
no,
No,
no, all of the stuff that you signed in the beginning state holds true.
nothing changes. Hmm.
Hmm. And that was one of the other things that someone mentioned was the process, right? Because when it was a little daunting when we closed on our first place, because you feel like nothing's happening all this time, and then all of a sudden they have everything together, and okay, tomorrow you're going to sign, and you have to make sure that you're ready to send in your closing funds, and you're working with lenders and agents and title, and you need to get, your insurance lined up, and they need to send the proof of insurance and things like that. So it's kind of a flurry right then. And for us, we had a little bit of time because all of our stuff was out of state. So they had to do mobile notary signings. And so, in the beginning, you think, oh gosh, well, you had a regular schedule at your work. And so we couldn't really sign too early. They even asked if they could go to your school and have us sign there and things like that. And it was kind of crazy. But after you do a few deals, now it's like, no, this is when we'll be home, and this is when you can send somebody for us to sign. So
Mhm.
things change over time. But did you? I know the first time we bought a house, it almost made you sick. Has it gotten
No,
easier over time?
it did make me sick. Actually, now I think I'm numb to the whole process. They say sign, sign. It's like, okay, sign, sign. Every once in a while, I'll glance through the paperwork and see what I'm signing, but it's, if and I forgot when it was, but a while back somebody had mentioned that you could request the forms early so that you could read through them. So I think I would like to do that in the future. And I might not understand all of it or what, but it'd be nice to know, yes, I'm not signing over my kidney and my firstborn. So
Yeah.
what else was covered in your meeting?
Um, well, that was pretty much all for the meeting. So these are just things that came up through school after the fact. But someone had mentioned about the different ways that you can close on a property. And in some states, they use attorneys. And like here, we did everything through title. Um, they also mentioned recently, I don't know how long it's been a thing, but now they're thinking that they can do virtual closings where you don't even have to be
Yeah.
there. You do everything online. And that seemed, I don't know if shady is the right word, but it seemed like they were just opening yourself up to more ways for people to hack you.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about that one yet.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, I guess if it's, well, no, because you can still get a notary wherever. Yeah, that seems a little, I don't know, out there for possibilities of things you don't want happening.
Mhm. Yeah. And so I guess one of the first things about when you're just starting out, and I heard somebody else say this, I forget where, but we talked about why over the last couple of weeks, and that your why should be very, very strong, or the first time something goes wrong, you might quit. But they were saying that your why needs to be stronger than any excuse you can think of, which makes a lot of sense. I hadn't heard it put that way yet.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
But
And
shouldn't that should be for every big decision you make, not just real estate? Why are you doing it? And then you should really be able to dissect the why and get down to the nitty gritty. And if you don't want to, then maybe that's your first big red flag. And then if you really don't want to and you start making excuses, then that's when you should stop and think about, is this really what needs to be happening?
mm, you mentioned other
But
things in your life. You mean real estate isn't the only thing in our life?
real estate, this is probably going to pull a lot of people into the negative. They don't want to meet me in Las Vegas, and that's okay. But real estate isn't even in the top five of my life. Sorry. And I only have a list of three. It's not that I dislike real estate. I'm just not, it's not, it's, I guess it's what I think some people think of as a job. They go and they do it, and there's nothing there. You just go and do it. You do the process. You work the process, you get your check, you're done. But that's to me what it feels like. Even I think after May, putting stuff together, organized so I can understand it more. It's just a process. It's not a passion. It's not something that I would say, "Oh, I can't wait to go do this," or "Oh, I really like to do this." It's not that for me. It's part of just life. It's part
Mm.
of what's going to make life easier or make life happen or however you want to say it.
Yeah, I think I look at it differently. Not that real estate is the only thing, right? You and I have had conversations recently talking about that, and but I think the thing I concentrate on is what I hope it brings us in the future.
Right.
And
And that's what I mean. It's like it's something that we need to do. It's not, see, like teaching is my passion, and I get excited about what I'm going to have the kids do next for projects or what we're going to be learning tomorrow. I get excited. I get excited to watch them get excited, to watch them understand a concept that's, evaded them for all their life, their short lives, I get excited about that. I watch you with real estate and you get excited, and I'm like, wow, that's good because I don't have that excitement. I have that state of mind to where I can help us to be more organized, help us um, to look forward, which you do too, but to help, well, not to organize, but to help us be more organized and to know, because one thing you always say is if something happens to you, I need to know what's happening. That's very true. I don't like the unknown of if something happens, what are we going to do? So that I think that's the difference. You get excited when the properties come up and you get to look at them and you get to analyze them and you do all this stuff. You get excited. I mean, there's this light in your eye that's just amazing. It's that same thing I see in my kids. I don't have that with real estate. It's just and I do it because I know that we need it for our retirement. I understand that, but I don't need that for my, I don't know, for my heart. I don't need that for my heart.
yeah,
And
well,
not that you do, but it helps.
yeah, I don't need it for my heart. I need it for my retirement.
I
I
know.
think, and I don't think,
But do you know what I
well,
mean by your heart? It's like it's something that excites you. Like, so if we had funds, so if we were able to buy tomorrow, I will hands down bet everything I have, including your cat, that there would be a whole different energy for you. It's like something you get excited about. And that's good because that's what's going to carry us to and through our retirement. We need that in order to move forward. You're like,
well,
okay, so
it's
so
not
look
that
at,
I get excited that we would be able to buy something. I get excited at the fact that whatever we did buy would be adding to our future down the line, right? It's like another, just whatever it is, 200, 300, $500 a month. That's, so I don't know if it's excitement. Maybe it's just,
it is.
maybe it's just, maybe it's just hope.
Yeah, yeah, and that too. But in that hope and all of that, looking to see all that, how it's gonna, you see, you can see how it's gonna take us into the future. You you see that, and that's the excitement that happens. And the tool that's making it happen is real estate. So all of that builds into it. I
Yeah.
know it's going to take us into real estate, but I know that you're handling that end of it. So I can just stay in the background and take care of paperwork. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Trey Better says, I agree that your relationship is complementary. Thank you. It is. Cynthia, you do wonderful keeping the day to day to push forward for the long future ahead. Frank, you see where the family is going to be, and that is what's exciting. There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah, at least we hope. That's Harrison Miller, by the way. He's in Virginia, and um, I think he's really awesome. He has a very nice little family. They have a newer baby. I
Ah.
think I don't know Harrison. How old is the baby now? Um, and they're young. He's been through some challenges health wise and things, but
Oh,
um,
that's right. Yep.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and he's still moving forward. I think um, he was one of the people I was hoping to meet in Vegas, but I'm not sure if he can go. I thought I heard somewhere that he might not be going, but and that's really disappointing. But I'm sure there was a good reason for that. the
Oh, his baby just turned 1 last week. Happy belated birthday. That's awesome.
Wow, yeah, I guess that was happening last time Vegas came around. She was being born. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And
Um,
those years go by quick, so enjoy every minute.
yeah, they do. Our little one just turned 31 this year in December. It
Which
goes
is
by
pretty
fast.
amazing since I'm only 25. I don't know how that happened.
We adopted him when he was 20. um, but yeah, and when we talk about what we think the properties will help us do in the future, it is really just hope because so many times in the group it's been proven that what you analyze isn't what you get. We
Yeah.
we have we've been talking with some friends about someone else in the group had picked up a property, and in the beginning they were very enthused about it. It was going to do this and that, and they were going to get it rented right away. But once they closed, some other issues came up, and it's been, mm, I think, since about August that they've been working on it to get it ready to rent,
Wow.
and that
Wow.
depending on your market, um, that mortgage could be pretty high to keep paying
Ah,
each month out of your pocket. So
wow.
those are the things, somebody else the other day mentioned about because we talk about reserves all the time and how important that is. And reserves and your why. I think to me, those are the most important things you need to have before you even get started. And so someone had mentioned that if you if you calculate things right and you set your money aside for whatever improvements you're going to do and are prepared in that way, then reserves aren't as important. And I strongly disagree with that because you can be prepared. And I said it that night, you can be prepared as you want, but something is going to happen and you better have reserves.
So how do you know how much to have in reserve? I know we decided what to have only, okay, this is how I thought about it. So Dion says he has whatever amount for all his houses. And I thought, no, that won't work. I want, and we discussed this, that I would be comfortable having so much per house, not an overall.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you figure how much reserves you want to have? Is it just a let me throw the cards up in the air and see what falls down? How do you
Well,
know?
maybe some of the people in the group could share their thoughts because, um, in the beginning you had set a number of like 10,000 per door, and that's what we had. But 2024 happened for us, and we burned through it all. So I think I think 10,000 a door is probably the minimum we should have.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
like Dion and Matt and
Well,
Zuber, they have a set number, say 50,000 or whatever, but they have all this cash flow coming in that could save them, right? We don't
right.
have that. And I don't know how many people do have that. Um, yeah, it is Murphy's Law, right? When one thing
Yeah.
goes. And I wanted to say hello to Eden. It's great to see her. I was just going to check in with her because she's going to get to meet her and her family in Vegas. I'm super excited about that. And
Mm,
um, yeah, so I think the reserves is super important. And I don't know. I think if excuse me, if we were in a spot where the cash flow from our properties was just building up and we didn't need to live on it, I would just let it keep growing because a lot of people like to have, and I think we should probably have too, they like to have the reserves for their properties. And then you have an emergency fund for your life, right?
right.
If I'm out
Hmm.
of work for whatever. So they like to have 6 months reserves for your emergency fund. And then um, I think that would be nice to have too. But I think, you and I are on a short little run here where our properties are producing like they're supposed to, and that's something that we haven't experienced yet. So I'm hoping the five years of suck is mostly over. But I was going to say, Dion has a number. A lot of his properties are newer than ours, right?
Right.
So I think the likelihood of things going wrong on our properties are higher than what might happen to his properties.
And so I was just thinking, we have a lot of people who, well, first, let me say this. J6 says I would say usually it should be double of what you calculate, especially in the beginning. But J6, how do you calculate what it should be at the beginning? Because now we definitely are gonna up it.
Mhm.
So how do you, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think the other thing that could be helpful, and um, if somebody has a retirement account or something like that, then not that you want to use it. Uh, Hopefully, you'll get to build up your reserves before anything needs to be repaired. But that's the other thing, because in the beginning, when anything needed to be repaired, uh, like you don't automatically have $10,000 per door, right?
right,
The idea is that you get a property that's in decent shape and nothing big happens until you have, maybe 5 years under your belt with it and have had time to build up reserves. But when
right.
at the very beginning, it is coming right out of your pocket, and then you just have to refill the pot.
So Harrison says, sadly, they won't make it to Vegas. Their babysitter pulled out. So for reserves, we went from 10K to 15 per door based on inflation costs, and that's what we're looking to do, maybe even a little bit more. But how did you come up with that 10,000 per door at the beginning? Was it just something? And that's what we heard from, I think that's what we heard from Dion. Is that how you figured it out? How did you figure out what that beginning cost was? And then Flavio says, in my case, my expenses are half because I do the work and gives me the opportunity to have less on reserves. Okay, that's good, Flavio, but how do you know how much to put in reserves? This is this is how it goes back and forth with Frank and I when we're doing houses. It's okay, so you're telling me this, but how do you get there? Where do you get this number from? Where did you get 10,000? How do you know?
There's
Okay, so let's say that we know that there's yeah. Anyway,
So I was going to
so
say, Alex's comment is pretty good. In the beginning, it should be enough to get by for six
there you
months
go.
without rent, which should be close to the cost of a roof or major repairs. And I think that's a great way to look at it. I think Dion kind of did the same thing because in the beginning, I believe he had 20K, and then when he bumped up
Got
to
it.
I forget how many more properties and stopped working, he bumped it up to 50. But he kind of says, what would it cost me if the roof needed to be replaced, maybe the furnace or AC and a water heater, all that together, how much would that cost? And then
Mhm.
that's where his number started from. I think, but like I said, now if Dion has 50K, but he has $20,000 coming in per month,
Right. It doesn't matter.
I
Yeah,
mean, you almost don't need reserves. I think the
exactly.
probably the main reason he has it is because all that cash is available to attack the problem right away. and then, take them 2 or 3 months to rebuild it. So, and two, with all of the cash flow that he's stacking right now, he's going to be looking at picking up another property or two. Um,
Hmm.
and then that I thought that was funny because I think maybe maybe he's thinking about it more as to be able to help with taxes or something because his situation seems pretty perfect right now. Why would you add more to your plate?
Right,
And I know
right.
the way he manages and everything seems pretty perfect, but if you're good, like Zuber says, if you won, you stop playing the game. So
Hmm. A lot of good feedback on this. Thank you guys. Harrison says definitely got quotes on what people charge for major fixes and have the money available for that. So, Harrison, how did you know to do that? So, yeah, how did you know to do that? How did you know, and did you have enough time? I guess it seems to me when you find a house that you want to buy and you run the numbers and you do all that, you really are on a short time frame to get that paperwork moving so you can get it, So how, yeah. So that was one question. And the other one, Alex said, you don't need to double it with the second property, but probably should at four.
that makes sense. And
Yeah.
that kind of ties into what Dion did. Yeah.
Yeah, but I need to sleep at night and I need to make sure that each house can stand independent, each property independently from the others. Um,
Well,
yeah,
I think what he means was, so if just say you have 20K for reserves per property, and then you
right.
get up to four properties, then
Then
you double it. Um,
double it to 40K per property. Or double
no,
just get 40K. So if you have
40K total.
got it. So then that still stays with your 10K per property. Yeah. Okay. So then J6 says, I think too many people put themselves on a thin ice. Each person's number will be different. Yes, and you had said earlier, with the property type, the location, the weather, because houses in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, are going to have different types of needs than someplace in Washington. Water and snow do different damages to houses. So definitely, definitely. Um, Flavio says all dependent, most of my houses are full remodel, so 20,000 for all of them. Okay. And then
I was
first and second,
before you go on, I was going to jump back to what Harrison said about getting quotes and things. So one of the things that Cynthia and I struggle with, probably more more because I'm dealing with the YouTube channel and stuff, but I've always been trying to help the new investor. So what you said about getting quotes and stuff, Harrison, is like I think I think I'm trying to go way back and do a lot of hand holding. So something like that, how would we take a new person and you don't just tell them go out and get quotes, right? They're like, okay, well, how do I do that? Then you go back a little further and say you pick up the phone, you call an electrician, and you ask them, and then they're like, okay, well, what do I ask them? So, and that's kind of where these questions came from, going back to when we were new, because those are the people that I love to help. And we didn't realize until some just a little while back that we have something to offer people to help them understand what things are like in the beginning because we're still so close to that point. You know, Dion, Matt, and Zuber are so far beyond it. I think sometimes it's hard for them to remember what it was like, when they first got started. I know we hear Zuber's talk about his first property and how it almost ended his real estate journey and things like that. But I, we've kicked around the idea of writing a book. And when I started doing that, the book like exploded to like 10 million pages because every step, you needed to be so detailed in every step that it just grew and grew and grew. So I wonder, with all of these things you guys are saying, how do you explain that to someone who
Mhm.
thinks they want to get into it, but has like no clue yet? So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Um, so I
Oh,
got,
I'm sorry. One more
okay.
thing. So Flavio, all of the properties are newer and all of his systems are newer because he's rebuilding them. So there's they're even less likely, more if that's a thing, that less likely for anything major to go wrong because he's putting all new stuff in. So
Mm-hmm.
um, that's another good point.
Right. Um, Definitely, if you're doing your own services, they'll definitely be less than if you're investing out of state. Um, Alex, thank you. I understand what you're saying. Sometimes my mind goes a little bit crazy, but I did get that. Thank you. Harrison, when I'm building my buy box, I look on most common issues based on snow, earthquake, fire, location, and what the most common replacements are. That's smart. And
He
Alex
should be
says you don't.
teaching a class.
I know you don't need a specific reserve account for each house from Alex unless that's what gives you your ability to sleep at night. And that was for me, Alex. I needed to know, and I think some of this stems back to going through bankruptcy, but I needed to know that if we're going to, and not saying that you can't, if you absolutely had to, if there's no other way, and it made good sense that you would borrow from the other accounts, but that each house could stand independently and you evaluate each house, each property independently, not dependent on any other monies coming in. To me, that's going to be a safer buy.
And I
Um,
think to Alex's point, to have the Swan account, um, that's what I kind of meant earlier about, the fact that hopefully we don't need to live on this income anytime soon and it can just keep building and building. I know before the situation changed and we needed to use that reserve money, I was sleeping like a baby, right? You have $100,000 in an account for your rentals and you think you're safe. And a lot of that has to do with, well, maybe a portion of it has to do with the stuff that we bought because they ended up, well, like Jasek said, I mean, in the Milwaukee duplex, the air conditioners just happened to go out after we closed a few months prior, and um, one of the furnaces needed to be replaced in St. Louis last year. Um, so even though I mentioned earlier we're at a point where we're seeing some progress, there are still some older furnaces, probably maybe three out of the nine that could go. So it'll be nice, and it's going to feel different, right? Because like I said earlier, in the beginning, it was coming right out of our pocket. We were having to work harder to cover those expenses because we didn't have the reserves. And then, but now that the reserves are building up, the next time a furnace goes out, it isn't going to hurt. I mean, it's
right.
going to feel bad that we have to give up that 6,000 or whatever it was, but like you said, the property is paying for itself. The tenants are paying for that furnace, and that whole thing of how it's supposed to work is going to be happening. So that's going to be a relief. And then the furnace will be good for whatever 10 or 15, hopefully longer, more years than that. But that's another major appliance that won't be going out soon.
Right. Trey Better also put on there that also ask your insurance broker what they commonly see as need extra coverage. Oh, yeah.
I always, you hear me a lot talking about the ladies, the female investors in our group, and how impressed I am at how thorough they are. Um, but Harrison is uh, showing up for us guys today because he's very intelligent, and I'm thankful. I wish that you could be out here more with us, Harrison, because I think your input is really valuable. Um, I have a couple of maybe they're newbie poll questions that you guys might have some thoughts on. So I know most of you have properties now. Um, so I'll skip that one. If you, or maybe you could think back to when you were newer. What was your biggest blocker? Was it money, fear of mistakes, too much information, or lack of time? When I hear that question myself, I think, I don't know why, but I never had a fear of making mistakes. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. I just jumped in. And obviously, the first time I did that ended miserably. But even the second time, I know you had some hesitation because we had gone through the bankruptcy and stuff. And maybe I should have been more cautious because in the work that I do, I mean, I could have gotten hurt, and fell off a ladder or cut off my arm or whatever. And then we would have been in a real pickle. But I just always thought, okay, work's always going to be here. We'll be fine. So I don't know why I didn't have that fear, but Jim, the catio is almost done. I have a couple more places that I need to close up so the cat can't get through there, but um, we don't want our cat getting out. So
Okay, so I'm just gonna say this. I put it in chat, but let's be honest. Yes, it's so that because we have that stinking mountain lion that's eating everything in sight, but really, it's really so that Frank can feel safe sitting on the deck, falling asleep, and nothing's gonna come and eat him. Really, that's why we have it. Because before this mountain lion, I've been asking him to please make a little area where the cat could go out and be safe, and it was never on his radar. And then he saw how big this cat was that's stalking everybody. And he thought, oh, wait a minute, I sit out there in the sun when it's nice. How do I know that something's not going to come and eat me? So, really, let's be serious. It's really a Frankio instead of a catio.
yeah, so we'll have to do the final video for that, and then I'll put everything together. Um, and
So when you said your list, what were the options again? Because there's one that stuck out kind of, I wasn't sure where you were going with it.
the list,
It was,
what was
yeah.
your biggest, or what is your biggest blocker if we're talking to a
Uh,
newbie? Was it money, fear of mistakes, or too much information, or time?
I think what do you mean by time? Do you mean time to get all the information, or do you mean time that you've been doing it, or what do you mean by,
Probably the total time, like time to analyze deals,
yeah,
time to learn the
I,
process.
I think that would go with, um, not so much a fear of making a mistake, but try not to make huge mistakes because we've known people who they've done the numbers and the whole thing, and then they end up in a negative when they have the property. And I kept thinking, how could that be? If you ran the numbers with everything that maybe stuff creeped in that you didn't know, and then not knowing how. So once you sign papers, are you done? You can't pull out anymore. I mean, those kinds of things when you're new, and let's face it, I wasn't getting educated like you were. I wasn't listening. So how do you, those were the things that were making me crazy.
Yeah, I think
But
That cat was big. He was taking sheep.
Like full grown sheep. We're not talking like little lambs, full grown sheep. And not only that, they showed where he had one and he had him by the neck and he was trying to get him over a fence, not a tall fence, but it was still a fence that he had to pull him over. Oh my gosh, that was craziness.
Yeah, I think one of our friends, because there was a mountain lion in San Francisco the other day, just walking around the streets, and one of our friends mentioned to me that they were going to take that mountain lion and let it loose in the Santa Cruz Mountains,
Oh, great.
which is not far from us, by the way. So maybe there's two. Maybe they'll cancel each other out.
Okay, so
Um,
that's my thoughts on that list.
yeah, I think, and it's kind of hard sometimes to think back to when we were just beginning, but that's why I want to get everything, well, not down on paper, but down on video so we can remember where we were at. Um, this other question is, what is your main goal with real estate? Is it extra money or extra monthly income, long-term security, retirement support, or I'm not sure yet.
One, two, three. Because they all blend in together for us, I think.
Yeah, I think, well, it started out as retirement support, right? But I guess just to build up a little stash for retirement, and then
Hmm.
hopefully your portfolio will give you the and long-term security that those two go together, and then the extra monthly income. Yeah, I guess those are all kind of tied together.
Um, Harrison had said, fear of mistakes is mine. It has been hard for me. Wait a minute. It has been hard for me. I was not sure how much to fix up the property while having tenants already. Huh.
Yeah, that so somebody had done a comment on somebody's live about that, because there are things you can't do while the tenant is in there, right? If it's
Right.
if it's a one bathroom home, um, you
Yeah.
obviously
How
can't
do you
remodel
do
the
that?
bathroom, or you
Yeah.
have to. I mean, I think in that case, you just have to keep it as nice and
Usable?
livable as possible, until they move out. Um, you can't really realistically put them in a hotel for a couple of weeks while you remodel the bathroom. So that is a tough one. Yeah, unless maybe you don't want the tenant to stay and you don't fix the bathroom, and give them a reason to leave.
Yeah, but then that comes out that you're not taking care of your properties and you're not going to get any good tenants. So I don't think
Yeah,
that's an option.
you don't want to do that,
Um,
and it's even been
yeah.
a challenge for us in the remodeling business, right? Because if a client wants you to do their bathroom and that's the only bathroom they have, or kitchen, during the summer it's not bad. We've had customers who set up an outdoor kitchen, they wash their dishes in the bathtub and things like that, and they're fine with that. But
Hmm.
uh, the bathroom is a little more critical.
So Grumpy says, my main challenge was adaptation to all. What he's looking for is time, freedom, and choices are my ultimate goal. Okay, but choices, whether I want to work, travel, do whatever. There you go. Because I'd asked him choices on what and single bathrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. It's
yeah.
hard to work around those. So let me ask you this. If everything was going fine and you say that time, freedom, and choices are your ultimate goal, um, would you stop working?
I was just going to say that because
I know,
he's
stop,
not going to.
stop,
I
stop.
think I think
Just let him
Jim.
think about it. Maybe he's changed.
No, he hasn't changed. I can guarantee that. So Jim, while you're on here, I know you're busy. You're on all the accountability calls. You got your own tomorrow at 11, I believe. Um, but we need to get on live together because we need to talk about some stuff.
Okay, so he said no. So that means he wouldn't
No, he's
stop
not going to
working.
stop working. I told you.
Uh, Anna Kay, welcome. I miss you.
Yep, she's been working hard.
Oh, I'm telling you, this is when we first started. She is such an inspiration when it came to talking about properties because I met her when we were in Vegas. I talked to her before, but to sit there and just the knowledge this woman has and her ability to help you see different things was amazing. I enjoy sitting and talking to her about anything. She's just the sweetest, kindest heart. And I wish she was going to Vegas. I know she's not. I wish she was going, but so everyone can meet her, but she is just the sweetest, kindest person and makes real estate and all these other little questions that come up that I think most guys just kind of ignore. She's able to pinpoint those, get answers, and know where to get answers, and is willing to share all of her knowledge. She's awesome.
Yeah, I think she's like, just like I was saying about Harrison, they really dig into things
Yeah.
and do all the
Yes.
research and do all the stuff that we're too lazy to do. Um, and
Well, I don't know if it's too lazy, more, I don't know if it's too lazy. I think, well, for me, when I was talking to her, it was more things I didn't think about. And then not only did I not, when she brought it up, then it was like, oh, yeah. And then she helps you figure out how to find that answer, because I believe she has properties in Alabama. Is it
yeah,
Alabama?
she's
Yeah.
Alabama and Washington.
Yeah, so the ones in Alabama, there's the whole swamp, all whatever you want to call it area. So knowing where to go and how each area changes. I mean, she's just so she put some good time in there to figure out what's the best place. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, I think he, there's so many things that after you buy a property and you're in these groups all the time listening to other investors and you hear something and you're like, what? Well, you mean we're supposed to be doing this or that or
I know.
and and it takes so much time. The process takes so much time to acquire a property. Um, it almost feels like you have to wait till you're retired to have enough time to do all the research to
I
make it
know.
to optimize it.
Yep, yep. Um, that sounds ominous. Let me know when. Not next week, though. Managing storage unit buildings for business hack, roof repairs, and tractor work next week, and all of my work that needs to be done.
Yeah,
You
before
know,
you got to get all that done before Vegas.
that's craziness.
Yeah. And Alex said when we move up to Washington, we'll be able to visit
I
or
know.
see Anna all
Ex
the time.
and watch her play hockey. Hello. That's going to be like the best right there.
Yeah. Well, Alex, yeah, we definitely look forward to being able to be around all of you guys up there more often. I know well Curtis and Mark just had your son on their channel and I held back in posting my comment, but you have a very handsome son. I think he's lucky that he gets all his good looks from his mother.
Uh,
And he looked like he felt right at home being on the show with
yeah.
them. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to dig into that stuff. I mean, Jim and I have been on with Carlos and Colby was on with us on a contractor call, just answering questions for people that had questions for us that day. But I think, yeah, Jim, we need to get together.
okay, what else you got for me
Let's see
or
here.
for us?
What worries you right now? And then, yeah, don't forget, these are originally geared towards new investors, but I think some of them apply. So what worries you more right now? Buying the wrong deal, missing out by waiting, repairs and surprises, or talking yourself out of it?
Repairs and surprises. That's mine.
For us, yeah. I think I don't, buying the wrong deal, that could almost happen at any point in your career, right? I think that's always kind of an underlying pressure because you can analyze to death and something might still go wrong and make you feel like you bought a wrong deal. But
Mhm.
like just for us, just having to sell that property recently, it didn't feel like a bad deal in the beginning when we bought it. And
It wasn't a bad deal when we bought it. That's the whole thing. It wasn't a bad deal. It was paid for. I know people don't agree with that, but it was paid for. We were doing well with it. Everything was fine. It was just that lady. So it wasn't a bad deal. There was nothing bad about it until she had to leave. And then we had to cut our losses because we didn't know how long all of that was going to keep happening. So it wasn't that. J6 says new market a little.
hmm,
J6 says new market.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because he's looking at Pittsburgh too. Um, yeah,
J6, what's so exciting about Pittsburgh?
yeah. Don't just go there because Mark's there because that could be a bad thing. I was gonna go back to Alex says he's doing electrical while listening. I was
Oh
wondering what kind of
no.
electrical, Alex, and shouldn't you be giving all your attention to that process?
You see J6 comment, ouch. So yeah, why? Why why Pittsburgh? Um, all of Mark's are in Pittsburgh, yes? All of his properties? The new ones
Yeah,
didn't he just acquire some new ones?
yeah, he got two or three more. Um, so yeah, maybe following him isn't such a bad idea. Okay.
Oh, he's not going to Pittsburgh outside of that. Smart.
Oh, okay. Well, and
Yeah,
Jim's
I
thinking
would,
of going there.
yeah, I would think outside also. I would think outside of Pittsburgh would, if we're not going to, but if we were ever looking at another place, I wouldn't go in Pittsburgh. I would go outside. Just like I wouldn't do Detroit, I would go outside.
Hmm.
Just those
Well,
outside, just a little bit outside. Yeah, I would. Alex says yes, and I'm not an electrician. Yeah.
let's see. What part of which part of ownership feels the hardest? Finding the deal, financing, repairs and maintenance, or tenants and management?
Two, three, and four.
All of the above.
No, the first one's not bad.
Yeah, and I know Jim is facing that now because since his first two units are done, and he'll be trying to place tenants. So I think he was
So
saying the other day that's the latest new for him because he hasn't done it yet. So hopefully all of the feedback he can get from the group on how they do it and what they've had success with will be helpful.
yeah.
But
Um,
okay,
Go
just
ahead.
real quick, Alex. So we know you're not an electrician, but what type of electrical are you doing? Are you just replacing outlets? Are you rewiring circuits or replacing your panel? Give us more. Okay, go ahead. Oh, outside of
Grumpy's
Pittsburgh.
also. Yeah, also looking at outside of.
Okay. Yeah, and
Okay.
he's working on building a team there, which is a smart move. He I believe he said he will go there um, periodically to check on the projects and I guess vet the people he
Uh-huh.
hires to make sure they're doing, what he thinks they're doing and what they're supposed to be doing. So that's good. And I think that's hard for a lot of investors who aren't contractors. There's different
Right.
challenges to each side, but at least when you're talking to another contractor, if since we are contractors, you know what they're talking about, right? You don't have to go home and Google everything they said because you've never done it before. So I think that's a big common theme for a lot of investors. Someone was just texting me this morning saying about how finding handyman and contractors has been their biggest challenge.
Mhm. So Jim says posting sample listings next week for feedback. That'll be good. Alex is replacing outlets and switches. Okay, Alex, Frank doesn't replace outlets and switches. Well, he has to now. He used to always take our son with him and have him do those.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he hates them. He hates doing it now.
but it only hurts for a little bit, Alex. So
And yes, Jim, Anna says, good luck on placing tenants. You got this. Absolutely. And Alex outlets are easy. The colors match up. But you know what? There was some house that was so old that their colors weren't matching up. And oh my gosh, our son came home and he was so mad. He doesn't hold his anger very long. I mean, it's like his dad, it comes and goes. But that day, oh my gosh, and I said, well, why didn't you ask your dad? Mom, he kept telling me the same thing, match the colors. There was no colors. Uh, oh my goodness. Yeah, so those
so
don't
the
work.
yeah. So the stab in outlets, Jim, are you talking about the newer ones that have the little tabs open up, you stick the wire in and close them? Is that what you mean? Or just stabbing them in through the back? Because I know, well, you can't do that with 20 amp circuits, right? Because the plugs only accept 14 gauge wire. And I think the light switches have the same type of, okay, the lever lock is the one I was thinking. Yeah. And two, well, I think here in California, Jim, isn't it correct that you're not supposed to wire through the outlet anymore? You're supposed to join the line and the load and have pigtails going to the outlet. Hmm. Okay, let's see while we wait for an answer. What would be a win for you in the next 90 days? Clarity, confidence, first offer, or first purchase? Oh, there's James.
E, none of the above. I don't see any of those happening.
Yeah, I think, well, first offer and for first purchase are probably out for a lot of people that are on today. Um, I think I could always use a little more confidence as far
Hmm,
as the real estate investing.
true.
Clarity. I don't know if that's the same as a vision of a nice vision of what's coming instead of more challenges.
Hmm. Says purchase. Hmm.
Well, James, did you just had one finish and you put it up for rent? Isn't that correct? And Alex is looking for another purchase.
Yes, he's ready.
Okay. And Jim says it depends how many wires are in the J box. Yeah, so the electricians that we work with here, um, because you used to feed through the outlet, meaning your power coming in would go, say, to the bottom of the outlet, and your line going out could go through the top. But he was saying that we shouldn't do that anymore, that we should join the in and out and just have a pigtail, one set of wires going to the outlet. Because if something goes wrong with the outlet, then the circuit doesn't work. Um, oh, okay. So he's got his units rented. Oh no, that's what he wants to do.
First two units rented by March, and we're using this two-bedroom unit until then.
Okay. Yeah. His well, you saw his videos. Didn't you have a question for him about the chains?
Oh yeah, why do you use the chains instead of the regular downspout that that we see everywhere? What's the purpose of using the chains instead? And they're not really out of the way when you're walking by. So, Mr. Grumpy, explain please. You know
Let's see.
what I mean by chains. Chains instead of the downspouts on your houses on the last videos you had.
Yeah. Let's see.
Alex, my vacancies are higher priority. Yep. How many do you have vacant, Alex? Look better, way less cost, material and install. I want a larger chain though. Okay. Um, it is pretty, Anna. His stuff looks good. I liked the chain. I don't, so the size, Jim, the size of the chain, the way it looked good. How's that gonna look if you get a bigger chain?
And
Because
we'll
it wasn't, and will it do the same thing? It wasn't, yeah, it was nice just the way it was.
maybe the bigger chain would help the water flow better or different. I wonder, what do you attach those to,
Well,
Jim? If you get a heavier chain, is that going to pull the gutter down? Hmm. Yeah, for water flow.
need the better chain for water flow. Got it. Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Um,
S-
so let's see here.
Huh.
What best describes your mindset today? What best describes your mindset today? Is it?
Okay, wait. Can we go back for a quick second?
Yeah.
So, you know how we've talked about a water catchment system and then using that for the garden and what have you.
Mhm.
So then would the chain then be a better option than the downspout things?
Well, my
Because
first thought would be no, because you need the downspout would usually turns into some kind of a drainage system that goes into various barrels or things like that. But the way Jim has them set up, he had the chains dropping down and he was diverting the water to the back of the property. So in that case, if the back of the property was lower, you could set up your barrels down there.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, something for me to now think about because if it's better, that really, if the outcome is better, then that might be something that we have to really seriously consider. Huh, okay.
And then Alex,
Wait, so then he says he needs a better chain for water flow, bolt through the downspout adapter. Okay, okay. That gives me even more ideas. So Jim will probably be talking about this in Vegas. I just want you to know. So Alex says two was three, so he has,
he
did I
got
ask?
one rented.
Yep. He has one rented and he may have another coming up and he has six. Okay.
He may have another vacancy coming up. Okay. So it was what best describes your mindset today? Curious but cautious, motivated but overwhelmed, ready but nervous, stuck and unsure. I
Mm,
don't think any of those apply to any of
yeah.
the group.
So what's the first one?
Curious but cautious.
I think that's a good one because so if I was looking for properties, I would be, of course, curious to see what's out there. What could work? Could it work? Because you constantly have to stay up with what's happening in the market. So there's where that curiosity, what is change? What do we foresee changing? Looking at history, how did it happen? All that, all those wonderful things, all those parts.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, and cautious because now it's like it's safe to do that now because we're not going to buy. So it's safe to sit there and say, okay, so if this was a good buy and we did this, what is it that looks like might be an issue? How much has the cost gone up? So then when you're ready, those things are like second nature to you. You're not back at analyzing like you did your first deal. Because every time you analyze your deal, it should be, well, take less time, but it should be, to me, it should be more, there should be more to it.
Thorough, more
Yeah.
thorough. I
Yeah.
know because there was a minute back when recently when I thought, because we always thought the properties that we were buying were good deals and they were in decent shape. And then when we had to put out all the money in 2024, going forward, I was a little bit nervous because what if the same thing happened again, right? Right. Because we had inspections, we had sewer scopes, we had all those things, but still, and I know some people might say, you need to go there and look at the property in person, which we haven't done yet. Um, so I was kind of gun shy. I almost didn't want to buy anymore because of that.
Wow.
But you and other people um, mentioned just what you were just talking about, that it should be getting better with each purchase. Your due diligence, the questions you're asking, maybe we do fly out there and check it out in person. All those things will help us on the next purchase. So, but it was a real feeling like maybe I'm not any good at this and should just stop buying.
Wow. No, that's not happening. So you have to get over your fear. Whatever your fear is it because we didn't see things that happen afterwards, but you can't see everything. You can't tell if a furnace is going to go out. You can't tell if it's going to rain so much that the stinking basement floods. You can't tell anything different than what we already had information on. You did if you put a sewer scope down, you're going to see the same thing they saw. So how how is that going to be any different if you do it? It's not.
No, not if I do it myself, but
But you being there, how is that going to help? The same guy still doing the sewer scope, you're getting the same information.
well,
See,
because
to me, that money that's spent to go sit and walk, I mean, to go fly over all the expense to walk around, and I don't want to hear tax. And I don't care about taxes right now. Tax write-offs. So you going and doing it, I mean, looking at everything isn't going to change what's there. What do you think you'll get out of going and walking the property and going inside? What do you think would be different?
first I have to say I think your tone is a little harsh.
Sorry. You could tell this is one of those that just every time my blood pressure goes a little bit higher. Because, well, go ahead. So tell me, what do you think is going to be different?
I was going to say this is the end of the show, guys. We'll see you next week, maybe. Um, well,
Thank
okay. I see her comment.
Yes.
We'll get to it in a second,
Goodness, Frank.
but
Go
hold
ahead.
on, hold on. So I was thinking like the last two. So we presented, well, I wouldn't say present, but we shared one of our properties a while back. And Matt gave us his honest opinion, and he was saying that it just looked dated. We thought it was rent
Right,
ready, and it looked
right.
dated. And a few people had suggested repainting the whole inside, and we had just done, I forget what we did, but there was another couple $1,000s we had to put out to do a fresh paint job. So, I mean, if we had gone to see it in person, I would have seen that, right? And I know that's just cosmetic. There are things we can't see, but I
So
would I
with
would catch more. I think either we would not buy it because I'm sure I would have a list inside and out of I want credits for all this stuff or we're not going to buy it. But then I think you would almost not buy anything because of that.
right.
So, okay. So now you can get to Anna's comment. What was
Okay,
it?
wait, before I get to Anna's comment. So that that is just a fresh pair of eyes seeing things with Matt and other people who said stuff. So you know how when we were with Matt, when we were in his class or whatever, and with Dion, everybody does that when somebody brings a property. So there's no, you're getting the same information that you would have gotten if you would have gone there. So if we find a property and we say, this is what it is, they say it's rent ready, da 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 da, what do you guys think? They're going to tell you it looks dated, maybe a new paint job, blah, 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 blah. So you have that information. To me, that money going there to do that and all those expenses could pay for some of those things
Mhm. Well, I
instead of
think,
being additional. Now I have to come up with $5,000 to do all these repairs or whatever.
yeah, I think one of the things that I probably would have done if I had gone there would have been to like remodel the bathrooms because over the years they had just been, kind of hodgepodge. They put different color tiles here and there, and that's not appealing to a renter, no matter what class properties you have, and things like that. Making most of the flooring match or refinishing the floors. We did that in one of the places too. We refinished the hardwoods.
And we saw that when we saw the pictures and we talked about that.
Mhm.
I mean, that's one of the first things I said. Look at all these different floors. How are we going to do this? And if I remember clearly, your comment was, well, yeah, I think they're fine for now. And then we ended up refinishing them afterwards. So I think being more confident in what it is that that market is able to hold and what isn't might be a better thing. Does that make sense? You're not even listening to me.
Yes,
Okay. So, when you say yes like that, that's like, yes, dear. Yeah.
yes, dear.
So Anna says, Goodness, Frank. If you, a contractor, is not sure, imagine how we buy and face that fear. You are good. Yes, you are. And you need to get that confidence back and say, yes, this is what we like. This is what we don't like. And we're not moving forward unless these things happen. Done.
Hmm. Yeah,
You
and,
know?
like I said earlier, most of the, well, all of the people on here are pretty experienced, but um, I think to Anna's point, that's where we can help. I hope is by people bringing us their inspection reports or um, and maybe we can't catch everything, but I'm sure we could point out a lot of things that they might not see and help understand what it might cost to do different things. Um, and Anna, I think, like I was telling Harrison earlier, how do we help a new person understand all this stuff? And I know people say, your education starts when you get your first property, but there is a lot of good information you can get before you buy a property that will save you a lot of headaches. So I just don't know how to, like I was talking about the book earlier, I don't know how to, like, really where to start because the beginning, even the beginning first few steps are so, they feel complex when I tried to explain it. Like I said, when I'm working on the book idea and I start with a topic, that one topic could be a book by itself. And that wouldn't work. I guess you could put out a series, but trying to explain it to a new person is a real challenge. And I've had a recent conversation with another investor asking where they could go to get real hand holding through the whole process. And there are some coaches that will do that. I imagine you pay a pretty penny for it, but
Mm-hmm.
what else you got?
Um, Grumpy says inspected, not expected, more workflow, better management, better production. And Hilla says, I have people send me pictures all the time wanting an estimate. It's almost impossible to give an estimate from homeowner pictures because there are so many variables. I always go see the job in person. And Alex says, I disagree. I think seeing it in person is necessary before purchasing. I don't understand the last sentence. Also,
It's
something is tracked.
also millennial Mike is traveling
Oh,
to have
got it.
oversight, but millennial Mike
Oh,
didn't do that in the beginning.
no, he didn't.
He's doing it now that he had issues.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think I kind of agree with Alex. I think seeing it in person, I don't know honestly, Alex, if I saw them in person, if we would have purchased any of them.
I was just thinking that because of what
Maybe
our
the
expectations
Yeah,
are.
maybe the duplex.
Yeah, that was probably the best one of all of them. Yeah, I don't know that we would have either. I don't. I think
Hmm.
I would have been working until I was 105
Hmm.
because and then, because people always say you should fix it as if you were going to move into it. Well, no, because how I'm going to live is not necessarily what
Yeah,
I put into something, depending on the market, depending on where you are, because ours are C, maybe C minus. Yeah, I don't. And J6 says all of that is dependent on the person. Yep, I agree.
yeah,
Depends on
I
what
guess.
you're comfortable with. Yeah, and it depends also for us. I think it depends on the relationship we have with our PM. So our one in St. Joseph, if I told him this is a house that we're looking at buying, can you take a look and tell us what do you think would be what would the repairs to make it ready, would it be? I trust him of all of them to go in and say, well, you're gonna have to do this, and this, and this for it to get to be ready. And then, okay, that makes sense. But there's another PM that my trust level in that is not good. So I think it really, again, comes down to relationships.
Yeah, I like
No, no.
James'
Plenty of
comment.
people get married without meeting the spouse. No.
Well, we did, yeah. So we did basically marry these properties without seeing them. Um,
That's
I think
not a lesson.
a lot of
Maybe
a lot of people in the community, I was surprised at how many people have not seen their properties in person, and they're okay with that. You mentioned earlier, you put it differently, but your risk tolerance, right? Um,
Mhm.
it's different for everybody, and and to Alex's comment, maybe the solution is to change our perspective, and I think that's what we're saying. I think our perspective is changing, because and right now we don't have much money. So what Cynthia was saying about flying to, if we're going to buy in Missouri or wherever it is, flying there to look at a property is going to cost whatever. Um, so so that cost is, I wouldn't say it's prohibitive, but like she said, the money could go towards repairs or something like that. Um, but yeah, things do change after a while, right? I'm sure in a couple of
Yeah,
years when we chat with Alex, some things are going to have changed for him as well. It's I guess, just a natural progression for investors in general. But um, and Alex invests right in his market. He mentioned vacancy might be in his Arizona property, which was his first and the one he calls his alligator. So even he's been through some stuff.
yeah. Hillis says the travel expense should be tax deductible, which I understand, and that's good. But at the time, if you need that money, I mean, that's not gonna, if I need that money, if I could put that money towards getting this house rent ready, then to me, having it as a tax write-off is another bonus. It's not something that I have the cash for right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think as you were saying that, I was thinking if our reserve bucket was full, then it would be okay to fly to Missouri, right? Or wherever.
Right, right.
So, but things are pretty skinny right now, so it's a little bit of a challenge, and we won't be buying anything for quite some time. So, um, there's that. Let's see.
So Alex says, if your good PM misled you or missed things, who's responsible? I'm still responsible. And his point of view, because of the job that he does and the history that he's shown us with what he could do, holds a little more weight than one of the others. So I'm still responsible. Um, so I think a lot of it is trust. I don't know if
It,
you guys remember back when we had bought a house and the wife, Frank talked to the wife for whatever reason, and her point of view was different from her husband because her husband thought this was a good buy and all this stuff. And her opinion was, I wouldn't have bought it. These are the issues that I see there. So it's all, yeah, it's your point of view of the relationship you have with your PM and what have you. But with that happening, now I know that if we buy again with these people in that area, I'm going to her. I'm going to say, so what do you think about this area? Because she sees it in at a different point of view than her husband does.
and probably more like we do.
Yes.
And that's going back to that risk tolerance thing, right? Because the property manager, his his comment was, we have a lot of other investors in this area. I have no problem managing a property in this area. But I mean, someone who does that in D class,
Right.
you know, they're fine with it. This isn't D class properties, but so, and his wife probably would have said, no, I won't go there without a bulletproof vest and a gun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so, so to Alex's point, I think we wouldn't just be relying on the PM, but that was one of the first questions I started asking when we just started out checking in with property managers. I'm a property manager and asking, would you manage here? Um, so maybe that's not the right question.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex says, if you can't afford to go look at it, can you afford to buy it? I don't think it's so much as afford to go look at it. I think it's more about where can your funds be better used, even if you're holding them back for whatever. Not some, I mean, of course, if you can't afford it, you wouldn't go. But
Well, yeah.
so
And in the beginning, like I said, I think what I meant was by things are skinny right now, Alex, is because we had to use up all those reserves in the beginning, we probably, it would have been a lot easier to go fly there and look at them. But in the beginning, we were trusting either the turnkey provider, the inspectors, the property managers. And I guess now some of that trust is gone, right? So things will definitely be different for the next purchase, wherever it is.
then Anna Kay says, I think the location is everything. Other things can be fixed from the reserve if it happens. Even if I did not see the house, if the location is great, then that pushes me to go with the risk. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And
Alex said, hey, Anna, location is important. I'd argue important enough to see and learn in person.
mhm. And
Yeah.
Cameron is asking for the code. I'm not sure which code they're talking about.
And who is Cameron?
Yeah, maybe you could let us know who you are, Cameron, and glad you're here. Thanks for jumping in with us today.
Alec, Hilla says, I like Dion's call the police. Yeah, I like that too. Um, and Alex says, I'm not a very trusting person.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's not
Alex,
always a
I hope that you feel that you could trust us to always give you an honest answer, because I always trust that you will give me your honest perspective. So I hope that's limited on you're not being a very trusting person.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I think he means something different than
I know.
trusting us, but um and you know, like he said, if he's not a very trusting person, that has probably served him well. I mean,
Yeah,
because you could say that in a business sense or a personal sense. I
right.
think I think maybe I should switch mine because I'm not really trusting personally. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust people right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
But on the business side, I guess I trusted a little bit too easily.
Yeah, different situations, different levels of trust.
Yeah, Anna, that's for sure. She says, I think out of state investing requires a different risk level and mental frame. Yeah, we were just talking about that
Yeah, yeah,
risk
it does.
tolerance. Yeah, and people ask us why we didn't invest here in California, but in the beginning, I was so desperate to get started and we had like, I think we had about $40,000 saved up. And then, the turnkey um, topic popped up in bigger pockets and stuff like that. So we started looking at turnkeys, and we were able to afford at least to be able to get in and start the journey. And I've shared, there's videos on our channel talking about in the beginning I was desperate and um, yeah, I guess mostly desperate because I didn't have anything extra saved for retirement. And maybe that's not the greatest way to get started now that I look back on it. But after being after being able to be in it for 5 years or more now, I think it was still the right move.
Yeah. So what else you got for me?
Let's see. Um,
It's a beautiful sunny day outside. I'm looking out the window. It's beautiful out there.
how comfortable are you asking basic questions in public? Um, so very comfortable, somewhat uncomfortable, or I avoid it. I think this has come up in recent conversations about um, maybe it was Jasek last night. We got to chat with Jasek for a bit, and talking about people being okay with showing, you know, like you don't want to come across as being ignorant or a loser or things like that. But in this group, I don't think there's any reason to feel that way because everybody is supportive and wants to be helpful and encouraging and will never put anybody down. I mean, we joke around, right? And we do mess around sometimes. But that's because we've been dealing with each other for going on 3 years now with a lot of people in the group. And but I think, and I've said many times, is like if you don't give all the information, then people can't give you an honest assessment of your situation and try to help.
Right.
And everybody that we meet with each week is like that. And that's rare, I think, because even in our personal lives, I don't think, I mean, I trust most of our investor friends more than I trust anybody I know in my personal life with this kind of information. So it's a special place. Um, what else you got in there?
Ike says listening while doing some last minute items on a unit and turning over and have new tenants tomorrow. Good luck. Quite the opposite from out of state strategies.
Yeah, he's in his local market there. That's
That's
awesome.
good. And I don't know who this person is.
That's
User.
she has a different handle today. That's
Oh, okay.
Eden, I believe.
Eden, okay. It
Yeah,
says, I let my guard down when I did my first two out-of-state investments by relying on a lot of people. I would say that I would not buy again without seeing in person. Yeah, I think that different situations we get into change our perspective for that area. So the place that I'm talking about where the wife gave information before we knew about her and her information, and so that one guy, I would probably say we are going to look at it. But going to St. Joseph, who I have more trust in, I don't think I would necessarily have to go to that one. Does that make sense? I don't, at this point, I don't necessarily think I would need to go to the Gary one. But yeah, I guess it's as you have that level of trust or whatever in different people, it's going to be different in different areas. They're not all going to be great A+ winners. So I guess it depends on where the house is and what kind of issues have constantly been coming up, or if you have a PM who isn't talking and giving you information, I mean, I guess it's what I'm saying, it's all situational. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
But the other thing about that, so we're talking about Shannon, I believe. So she's an agent, right? But she works for her husband in the property
Oh,
management company. So her perspective is different. And
right.
I don't think moving forward, I don't think I would be placing as much trust in the property manager's assessment. I mean, Frank in St. Joseph is different, but all the other ones, I don't think, and it's not just because he has a cool name either, but we, I don't think I would just depend on them. I think, going back to some of what Alex said, trying to get there and see it, or, if you can't do that, then maybe it's not meant to be. So, and this is, you guys, this is all really appreciated, all your honest comments. And, like you and Alex were going back and forth. I think that's one thing that's pretty cool about the group too, is you can disagree,
Yeah,
with other people, and you probably would disagree just because it doesn't feel right for you. But
right,
like I said, I mean, nobody has hard feelings, and we appreciate the all the feedback.
right.
And going back to what Eden said about her first two purchases, um,
Where were those, Eden? What area were those in?
it was
Do you
in
know
St.
some?
Louis.
Oh,
Yeah. Uh, so
so Eden, if you ever think you want to invest in St. Joseph, let me know because I have an excellent property manager.
yeah, I think Eden she's pivoting, and because she's in California too. She wants to try to stay local to herself, because
Mm,
she had luck the first time she did it. I think she built an ADU in Southern California where she lives, and she, I think, appreciated the fact that she could check in with contractors and monitor their work and things like that.
oh,
So those are the kinds of things that she needs to feel comfortable and to be able to
good.
sleep at night. So if she can
What's
make it
so
work in California, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and what's so good is that how as you keep learning this whole system of real estate and what have you, that you pay attention to what helps you to be able to manage the stress and you start being honest with yourself on where you need to be in order to make this successful? I think that's awesome. So Grumpy says, Cali is way too difficult when you're low on funds. Isn't that the truth? I have had a high risk threshold because I've been able to work harder and longer to make things work. Wear and tear on the body is hard now. Working smarter now rather than harder is going to be a great year for change and growing. Absolutely. Um, Eden, you are going to Vegas, yes? Frank says yes, so I look forward to meeting you. And then Alex says he's going to help us. He's going to help us find that place we need to live in. So we have a lot of good people who are willing to help us look for or to, check out places that we find. So I'm excited and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think
Wait, Alex, if I find a place in Nevada, will you go look at that one too?
no, but John Litz probably will.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say he's not here. Huh? Okay, what were you going to say before I interrupted you?
Nothing. I was just reading a couple of the comments. Um, yeah, so if it's okay, we'll do maybe one or two more questions. We've been keeping folks a long time today.
I
Uh,
know.
so we were talking about how comfortable are you asking basic questions, and I was going to ask Eden specifically because I know most of the others are pretty comfortable, and she's joined us on a few of the Wednesday calls whenever she can. Um, she has a pretty demanding job as well, but she's again, she's kind of falls into the category with Anna. She's really um, digs into to getting as much of the best information as she can and doing research and things like that. But I wonder, Eden, what it's been like for you because you have shared on our calls. You have shared your some of your challenges and what you went through on the first couple of properties. How the second one, instead of a flip, it turned into a for the at the moment it's a long-term rental. So I think that's pretty special because I mean, not the situation and not having to go through that, but you have been through some stuff and you can share that with people and hopefully help them avoid some of those situations. So I just wonder what that's been like for you to share everything out in the open with us.
And what's important to understand too is that when we share, not only are we helping somebody else, but it's also a way of us processing what we went through and to look at it at from a different perspective because you're not in it anymore.
Mhm.
You're almost like on the outside looking in at everything that happened.
Yeah. And Alex says sometimes he disagrees just for fun. That I think Mark does that a lot. He likes to poke the bear as he puts it. So let's see, maybe one last one. Most of the rest of these are pretty basic beginner questions, but what scares you more right now? Losing money, being wrong, starting late, or staying stuck?
Losing money. Um, losing money because May is my last working month. So I've been taking the paycheck that I get from my work, my part-time work now, and sticking it in the bank and using only what I get for Social Security. And so looking to see where I can make cuts and what have you, just to make life a little bit easier. I'm not a big shopper. I don't like to shop. I take that back. I love to shop at bookstores and stuff like that, but I'm not a big, you know, girly girl kind of a shopper. So, so I think that the first one is the biggest one for me. Utah and Arizona. Okay, Alex.
That's not too far from Nevada, is it?
Oh,
Uh,
husband.
yeah, I think, well, nobody likes to lose money. Uh, Feeling like you were wrong about buying something, but we started late. Well, the first time it wasn't too late, but we started late the second time. So that's been a whole experience, I guess. We don't really have anything. Well, we kind of do have something to compare it to, but the first time wasn't successful, so you can't really compare now to then, except for how much we've learned going through it
But
again.
you can because like you've said before, we started and didn't know what we were doing. So the difference in starting and not knowing what we're doing and excuse me, going underwater by the end of the first year or so, then so yeah, we learned a lot from that that I think helped us more and everything that happened will helped us more for when we started. So yeah, we do have a comparison.
Okay, you're right again. Okay, I think we probably be wrapping it up here in a second. If you guys have any questions, I think, oh, there's one more that popped in by Eden.
He, she says, so I am in a mindset now where I try to walk up through people through as much as I can when I hear red flags. I understand that when we see potentials, we get excited, but be cautious is a way to go. Yes. Anna K says we need a new group of senior REI to talk about different agenda only unique to us. You know, and Frank and I have been talking about this. It's how you have the newbies who are just starting off and they have all these things happening. Then you have the Dion group who have accomplished everything. And then you have us middle group that run into a whole different set of things that are happening. And that is, I think, the group that gets lost. They don't have a support group really that's geared just to that. Yeah, I agree. I think Frank needs to look into doing something like that.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but so Eden was saying, walking people through as much as she can. I wonder, Eden, are those people that already have properties or people that are just trying to get started? And then for Anna, yeah, I think that is a great idea because we're at a different point, right? You have shared with us some things because you and I are about the same age, and uh, all the challenges that come up with us trying to look forward and see how we're going to be making it, because Social Security isn't going to do the whole job and things like that. Those are some pretty important topics for us right now, and hopefully, I mean, it could even help younger people, right? Because a lot of us when we're younger don't think about that stuff, but the sooner we start thinking about it, the better. Cynthia and I were just talking this morning about the possibility of needing to pivot and start a different YouTube channel. So maybe we can talk about that sometime in the future. I'd love to get your opinion on it. Um, Definitely, we would keep this one going because this is important to us. This is kind of, you know, our baby, I guess. And I don't ever want to stop helping people that are thinking about getting into real estate. And I think the thing that will become evident in the future is that if we can do it at our age and our circumstances, pretty much anybody really can do it.
Yeah, I agree. So that's something, husband, you should be looking at
Yeah,
doing.
I'll,
I'll
I'll
add that to your plate.
I'll get on that. I'll get on that right away. What did what did Flavio say?
Stuck.
If you don't lose
You,
money, you're going into real estate.
if I look back in my 20s, that was losing money. Yeah, that's true. And then Alex says getting stuck in my W-2. You know, Alex, I'm glad you said that because at the last year, well, before I signed my contract for this year, I kept thinking about what was I get? Well, one, of course, money, because that's one of the reasons. Then I kept thinking about, okay, but I really like this, so why would I leave it? And then I started thinking, what else am I going to do? And to me, I guess in a way, I was stuck. I was stuck in my W-2, not what I was doing, but that whole concept of being stuck in your W-2 because you're used to that paycheck coming in and you know how much is coming in and you know what you're going to do with it, you know where it needs to go. All of that's happening. And I, yeah, that's a big one. And now that I took the time to put that little paycheck in the bank and live us only live on what I make for Social Security, it really opened my eyes to, okay, so now I need some of these other things that I buy that we really don't need. I need to cut back a little bit more. Yeah, but yeah, that not having that W-2 to fall back on that's a real one. You don't want to get stuck there, but you also don't want to leave too early, if that makes sense. It's like, yeah, you have to have a good timing with it, I think.
Yeah, I think from what Alex has shared, he's only got a couple years. His plan is that he has a couple years and then he'll be able to retire. So that's
So,
good because
yes. So, Alex, so does that mean, so if you have a couple of years and before you retire, which is great, and I hope we get to talk about this when we're in Vegas, maybe in more detail, but it's like, how are you preparing for that? I know real estate and I know Social Security, I know that, but how are you yourself preparing for that? Because think about it, you're getting out of something that takes 90% of your day. What do you, yeah, yeah, what are you doing? So I'm excited to talk about that. Frank doesn't need a helper for what, Mr. Grumpy? Thank you.
and
Hit the like button for Frank. That's so sweet. Thank you.
yeah, that's
Uh,
Nick. Great to see you, Nick. I
hey,
think Mark mentioned that you're not going to Vegas. I was hoping you were because I really wanted to chat with you. Um, so that is Nick, and he is on Mark's show each week talking about Bitcoin. He he has been investing in real estate for a while and sold some of his properties, and he's also a teacher. And he took that money from real estate and put it into Bitcoin. So he's pretty knowledgeable about that stuff. Um, I don't understand it, but maybe someday I will.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe that would be something. I'm still waiting for Grumpy to tell me why you need a helper. I don't get that.
Eden
And
had
then,
another comment, I think.
yeah, she says, these are more people. Oh, there are more people that are getting started. I have been meeting a few through my local meetup. Good. However, I have met a few experienced investors along the way. Build to rent seems to work here. Wow, that's awesome. Built to rent. Huh, that sounds good. But and it's good, Ian, that you have a mixture of people that you can mentor along the way, and then also getting your bucket filled with experienced investor information that keeps you nice and balanced. That's good.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if Eden knows Brannon, but Brannon is on Mark's channel. I believe it's on Tuesdays, and Brannon does build to rent in Texas. So he might be someone good for you to listen to. Oh, Jim says you would be my
No,
helper.
I said to do what? Yeah, I am helping. I'm helping you on these Saturdays. And you're so cute.
Glad Lynn finally made it, but we were just about to wrap
Yeah,
up.
but I'm glad she made it. Okay, Alex, I thought you were telling Frank it's time for him to make some lunch because weekends are his time to make breakfast, lunch, and we make dinner together. Well, really breakfast, lunch go together, but dinner we make together, brunch he makes. That's
And
our deal.
a torta is usually a very good sandwich. So it's okay if you were supposed to put that in a different chat. We accept it.
Oh, yes, Flavio, my favorite with yes.
Now you're making me hungry.
I know.
Um, okay. Well, I guess that's a good spot to end things. We appreciate all you guys for joining us. I
And
think we have one more
good,
Saturday
good
before.
conversations today, guys. Good interaction. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Um, we'll be here next Saturday, but I think the following Saturday is when we'll be in Vegas. So we probably won't do it. We can't do anything there because we'll be at the event, but
But you're doing the Wednesday before the event, right? That same week? Yeah.
yeah, we'll have our usual Wednesday meeting when we will be getting into Vegas Wednesday. So Wednesday evening, we'll have our regular accountability call.
Mr. Flavio, I'm so glad you cook for your wife. That's the way it should be.
And I think Flavio mentioned his wife is an agent. Is
Yeah,
that
I
right,
think
Flavio?
so. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. We have a good time.
Thank you, Anna. Good to see you. I miss you.
And Lynn, these usually start at 11 a.m. Pacific, not Eastern.
Leave her alone.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Wait,
Oh,
she has 4 jobs. Leave her alone.
4 jobs.
Oh, your wife has 4 jobs? Wow. Flavio, your wife has 4 jobs.
I think they're called sons and a husband. Oh, and Alex
And
says he's got 4.5 years. Oh, okay.
oh,
I
so are
thought
you gonna so Alex, are you just gonna go the 4.5 years, or are you not worry about the pension, or are you gonna go the 10 years for your pension? Have you um figured that out? Like which is more beneficial, or which can you hold out for, I guess. Thank you, Eden. Thank you, Jason.
yeah, yeah, you guys, we're looking forward to meeting you all in Vegas. I hope everybody has a safe trip there. Can't wait. And
Yeah.
so we'll
And
be back
Alex
on
will
the.
have, yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I was talking over you. And Alex, yeah, we have to talk about this whole 4.5 years pension thing in Vegas. Another discussion for us to have.
Okay, we'll see.